very much. And so let's start. Let's start with, why don't you introduce yourself, and we'll kick right in. And I believe we have a slide, if we not at some point. So we'll kick that up when we're ready. Great. So let's start with you introducing yourself, and who are you, and where you're from, and all that.
Yeah. First things, as you probably noticed, so I'm not Todd. So I'm Adrian. I don't think you need very sophisticated facial recognition for that. I'm based in Switzerland. I'm currently Vice President of Digital Marketing for Skechers. Very happy to be here. I'm very happy to be back in London. I used to be here pretty often, before COVID, but this is the first time after COVID, so very happy to be back in London.
And your background and your expertise is marketing, loyalty programs. You talk about that a little bit.
Yes, exactly. So, I've been working in digital and marketing since more than 18 years. Before Skechers at BF Corporation, so the parent company of brands like Vans and North Face and Timberlands, among many others. And even before that, also at P&G, Procter & Gamble. And to tell you my background, what is interesting, I said in my profile and what I see in this career is that, I have a background in engineering, but then I did an MBA, and I've been, working in marketing as well, and I follow also a traditional marketing school at P&G. So I think this also puts you in a position to drive the right connections between, the more technical part as well of digital data, and analytics, as well as the customer and the consumer experience. But for me, this is also what it's exciting.
Yeah.
And last thing, I would say from myself is that I have more personal notes. I have 3 nationalities. I was grew up in Uruguay, Uruguayan of Italian origins. So I'm also Italian, and then in the past 15 years living and working in Switzerland and also Swiss. And there was something I used to feel very proud, having these 3 nationalities, until I realized that also Carlos Ghosn, has also 3 nationalities, and say, well, maybe that's something, not also to talk so much about, but I'm still happy about my 3 nationalities.
So let's talk about Skechers. So for not everyone may not know the brand, but they're one of the largest, not the largest shoe company in the world. So and they call themselves a comfort technology company. So can you explain what Skechers is? What do they do? And what kind of customers do they serve?
Yeah, so Skechers, very successful company. Yes, like number 2 in the US. And I'm among top 3 globally. And key, to this success, and you can also check, we recently released, the Q1 results, but, if also check also last year results, very, very impressive growth, with consistent. And to that, there are many elements, to drive, this success. Of course, a key part of this is the product, and we have probably some of the most comfortable, shoes you can have, and that's all. A key part of this is what we call the comfort technologies. So it's, you probably be familiar with some of them, like memory foam, Arch Fit, Goga Mat. So this is, of course, key part of the success, but. Another key part of that is also all this digital, transformation and focus on data and the customer, and that's something that started, more than 5 years ago when Todd, that unfortunately, can be here today, with some family problems, but then. He started that, and he got an acceleration during COVID, as you've seen for many companies.
So let me pause you right there. So it's quite interesting. So Skechers grew a massively successful business, and then timing is everything, and it seems that they got the timing perfectly right. So about 5 years ago, they decided that they needed to enter into a digital transformation effort, and that started with creating a single customer view. So they changed their point of sale systems, so that everything resolved around putting the customer as the nucleus of the business. And I think that starts with your your journey slide here. And you go to school, we all see these kind of journey slides, but Skechers actually put their money where their mouth was, and their time and their energy, and invested in gutting their technical infrastructure to create that centralized view of the individual, but also the centralized view of the product, a centralized view of support across the board to be able to actually be of service to people. And just to quote the number, so in 2019, following the first year of this implementation, they achieved a $5.2 billion in sales in just Q4 alone, and increased their year-over-year profits, incomes by 23%. Fast forward to this quarter, they increased revenue growth by 27.3%, and the competitors' average growth rates was around 11. So the numbers have absolutely shown that the digital transformation strategy is working. And not just 1 year, not just 2 years, but consistently over the last 5. Yes. So maybe you can talk to us about that. Like, how did you guys pull it off?
Yeah, very successful, and also like Q1, as you said, plus 27% globally, and almost plus 50% in Europe, especially. And things could look like easier or always in a slide, but it's a big change of culture and mindset for an organization. I mean, very centered on creating the best products and the most comfortable shoes. To move also into data.
So I think you said it was a mindset change from we went from becoming a product company to a data company.
Exactly, and why is the data? So at the end, it's also how we offer to the customer the most relevant content, the most relevant experiences, and this goes across the journey. And I mean, you can also find a lot of different, representations, if you Google about the customer journey. But what I like in this version that I personally, tweaked is first is that, the consumer is at the center. This is key, and then this circular part as well. So this is an ongoing process, and I mean, and you can start everywhere. I mean, normally people like to start, with acquisition, but this is an ongoing process, and where you need all the time, to be optimizing. And there are a lot of areas here, how you can use also data and analytics to improve and to make it better each part of this journey.
Yeah. And when we were talking about prepping for this call, you kind of challenged me a bit when I said, well, you're collecting as much data as you can. Mm-hmm. So maybe you can actually, and you're like, no, that's not what we're doing. So do you get all data, or is there just special types of data? Like, how do you determine what kind of data you need, and how is that built into your process?
Yeah, for me, this is the interesting part, of linking, all the data part and, all the data technology and all the data expertise with the consumer, and more the marketing side or the communication side. Okay, what is relevant, what is making a better experience? And I think this is important that you don't start with the data, but start, also with the consumer. Say, okay, what it makes, I mean, and you can say, okay, what are pain points? The pain points are really a great, also opportunities. And what is maybe in this journey not working so well? And then from there, say what we need to make it better. And for sure, then you will need some data, and you will need, some technologies to make it better. But it's, that's what I see also in my experience a lot of times. It's like because you get so obsessed on data, and probably, I mean, we have such huge amounts, also of data. But it's more, okay, what is relevant? What kind of this data, would make it more relevant, and for my consumers, and make the experience better, easier, communicating about products or shoes that are more relevant, also for you, and make your journey, all the process, since searching, for a new product to buying to continuing, the engagement, make it that, as relevant, as engaging as possible for you as a consumer.
Now, you also, it's more than just data, and it's more than just technology. What else do you need as part of your digital transformation process to be successful?
Exactly. So, I mean, there are some fundamentals, and that's part, you need to go also in the journey. You need solid, foundations, and this goes, I mean, depending on organizations, cleaning up maybe also some structure you will have with no disparate databases. So it's getting the right, infrastructure. It's getting at least the identity problem, at least even within your organization fixed. So you have, like a single, also customer also identity. But it is a must-have, but it's not sufficient. So you need that one. But then the key part is getting, the right also people, and the right also processes in the organization, to leverage that. And yeah, this is also, an ongoing journey, as well, to make the best use then of all this technology and all these capabilities. And it requires this mix of experts, in analytics and data scientists and, and technologists, but also marketeers and getting this focus also on the consumer and the experience.
And so you also then invest a lot of time to help keep the different teams aligned and trained and aware. It's not just dumping in technology and say do it. You actually take the effort to make that alignment.
And one exciting part of something I really enjoy on this journey is that among a company you can have typically, because especially if you go bigger organizations, you can have a bit of these more silos, and different teams, the ones working, on the e-commerce side and on the retail side and on the marketing and customer service and and supply chain. But what we all have in common is the customer, is the consumer. And when you start working, on consumer programs and improving, the experience, like in 360. This is also what working, for example, in loyalty and improving how we can improve, our loyalty program. This is where you sometimes found in these meetings, where you have on the table people that all working for the same brand. That maybe say, well, this is the first time we're sitting together in a meeting. So I think the customer is a key element to align as well the organization on at the end, okay, what is more relevant for the consumer and getting, and this, unleashes, of course, a lot of powers, when you are not, on this more internal, discussions, but really focusing, well, what at the end, will make a difference, to the consumer.
Yeah, I think it's a real powerful messages for brands and for leaders to be able to say too, look, I get it. We all have our own departments. We have our own objectives, our own jobs. But at the end of the day, we're in service of this individual. And then that's what we need to focus on.
And what is very, very exciting, because of course, this is an area, as we were talking, so much development and so much, also technology, but the core of that one, for me, I see it link it back, to what was core traditionally of, companies like P&G and marketing, and the famous, also consumer is boss. At the end, this is also consumer is boss, is putting the consumer at the center, and, in older times, you will do consumer, focus groups or things, to try to understand, okay, what the consumer wants and, what challenges or pain points they have. Now, we have the beauty of having so much data as well and so many other tools and technologies to understand that. But at the end, it's also always the same, okay, let's put, this customer, the consumer at the center, and then, leverage, all the different technologies and tools we have and all the different data to make the experience, for this consumer as good as possible and as engaging as possible.
And as a retailer, when you think about the talk that Andrew just gave us and the talk I gave, and then I concluded with this idea that in the future, the number one metric for a business is that verified connection with the individual. How does that make you feel as a business to think that person in the center can revoke that connection at any time?
Yeah, well, but I also I love your presentation and Andrew's one, and one keyword there that always comes to my mind is the question of trust. And I started counting, and then I lost how many times we talk about trust. I think stop at 10 times. This is crucial because and that's an important part also an organization to not be sneaky or creepy, and that's part that, and the very initial part of digital marketing, where there were no regulations and nothing, and it was a lot of this temptation. Whatever data I can grab. I think we are now much more mature, and now it's very important to build this trust, the consent, to be really very open. And I think this is a responsibility for all, and whatever industry, I mean, because we are also, consumers, and we are also want our data, as well, to be protected and our consent to be protected. So this is crucial as well, and and a responsibility, as an organization. We are getting customer data. We're going to protect, also as well this data, being very very open and transparent on which consent we get. But I mean, at the end, this is working, because also what you see, the more relevant and the more helpful data is data, that is coming, directly, very openly with the consumer, with the consent, and always being surprised, a lot of times, even asking, the question directly, to the consumers, how much data also you can get if the consumer really is trusting you, and they also see, okay, how are you going to use this data, to make your experience, more relevant. If I'm asking, what is your shoe size, so then, can offer products that are more relevant, or what is your fit, or what are your interests? Are you interested in golf? I can, want to know more about golf shoes, and and so on and so on.
Yeah. So when I've looked at the definition of trust, and I've actually zeroed it down to two. One is, I trust that you're going to do what you say. Right, and that's sometimes really hard to do, and so you need that, and that's where the transparency comes in, what Andrew talked about, and the ability for me to verify that you are in fact doing what you're saying. And the other part of it is, I trust that I can be vulnerable with you, right? I can give you my shoe size, I can give you my interests, and that you're going to treat, my preferences and my interests with respect. And I think that combination of trust, I think, is critically important. Would you not agree?
Totally. That's at the core basically of everything. And the more you're really on this journey, I think the more you will be successful, because consumers will able also to give you also more data and see also as well the benefits. It was very interesting, by the way, to your question, also all the discussion about the personal identity, because that's something as well, for that is part of making this journey. Part of this journey is also how you identify yourself, also for the company, and how make that as easy and as possible, but also in a reliable way. So I think that's something that is also super
and I think that's a key point. I mean, Lee will be talking about that tomorrow, as well as making sure that customer experience is as frictionless as possible, as easy as possible. So a couple more questions too, and then we'll throw questions out to the audience. Your journey of this digital transformation, though, is not over. It's not like you transform and stop. So for you were telling me, today you've got 3 kind of primary websites. You're going to be rolling that out to 14, so personalizing to regional markets. You're going to be introducing new messaging strategies. So you're continuing to evolve this transformation effort. So it's an ongoing thing, no?
Exactly, and that's what I like in the presentation. See the arrows that this is ongoing, and I mean, and it's ongoing because we never can say, now our experience is as good as it could be. There's always, also opportunities to improve, and there's competition, and there's also great companies that also investing on it and looking to improve. So if you really want to be successful, you need to keep all the time challenging yourself also to improve it. And within Skechers, we're already started this journey more in the US, but now that's part of my key role, and is also to scale that as well to Europe. And we've been in this last also few months going from 3 countries website. We are already now at 9, and we'll be soon also at 14 country websites. And I mean, and it's not just the websites, all the capabilities that go, and all the ecosystem that goes linked to that, also as well as CRM, loyalty, and personalization.
And what I love about your story is it's not that you're just doing things, but you're also demonstrating results. I mean, you're seeing double-digit growth, both top line and bottom line growth year over year. as you're going through this process.
Yeah. Now, this is what is super exciting, because on one hand you said, well, it's just doing the right thing, as you said, respecting privacy, trust, or sounds nice. Personalization results, it works. And just first example comes to my mind also in email communications. So you see when you start being more personalized and more relevant, you with less communications, you get higher engagement, which at the end, it means also higher revenue as well. So I think this is the beauty of that, having more relevant communications, having more better experience for the consumer, but at the end it's also driving better results and also more efficiency as well for the company.
Yeah, and to be honest too, Skechers hasn't even begun to look at this people-centric approach yet. You're still very much in the organizational-centric approach to personal data management at this stage, correct?
Yeah, I said it's an ongoing journey, and the key part of this is also when you look at the driving the engagement and driving also the advocacy, at the end, how you transform your consumers into brand ambassadors, and this is the key part of closing the loop as well. That's the best part, also the best ways and more efficient to drive customer acquisition is the word of mouth, as well. If you have a great experience going to the Skechers website, or if you are super happy what emails or what communications you are getting from Skechers, you will tell all your circle or your network, and this is where we come on this more positive circle.
Fantastic. So we have about a few minutes left. Anybody have any questions for Adrian? Anybody online? Yep, Jonathan? Which, by the way, is great to see you. I haven't seen you in years. It's so nice to be back in the real world again.
I'm Jonathan Tom. I'm from Tavaro. From what you're saying, it's impressive, and it sounds easy. If you were, from what you've learned 5 years ago, and you were to start now, what are the 3 things you would do differently?
Interesting. Yeah, it's like a 3 in 1. So, the most critical part where is also there on the people. That's I think you come to that one, and that's something where you see the benefit. But yes, to your point, you would start now everything since also from scratch, and that's one of the key points also to focus. And people means first, also starting with in the vision, aligning everybody, as well on the importance and of the data and how data, and can help, the company across every area, since the product to all the experience. But then also people in terms of the resources, that you also need as well, for to developing all the analytics capabilities. I think these are one of the things that, I don't know if it's too different, but where have a stronger focus. If you would do it, I would do that now. And and the other point I also mentioned as well is the resist this temptation just to start also with the data, and that's also what happens a lot of times, especially you have a team of maybe data scientists, where everybody's very keen of looking, what is the next, also algorithm or AI technology, that I can be using, but it's very a step back, a bit on that one, and then it will come for sure, it will come, but start first with what is my current journey, what are my biggest issues, what are the biggest frictions, that you see in the journey, because this is probably where you will see the biggest impact. And in some cases you will need very sophisticated technology. In some other cases, maybe there are more quick wins that you can have, and there is simple data that you already can use to improve it, and this will put you more in the right positive circle as well, building this confidence, and then you can build the ground to do more sophisticated things as well, would maybe require also more efforts and more technology.
On just that point, the people piece and the starting simple and trying to drive quick wins, to sustain this focus commitment how much is delivering success and sharing learnings? How important is that?
So yeah, I didn't hear you.
Sorry, how important is showing success and sharing learnings to sustain this digital transformation over time?
Yeah, no, that's a good question, super important, and that's part of you should also not forget on this journey is also to communicate. And yes, I was mentioned when you put here the customer at the center, you realize, you start also interacting and involved with almost the full company, all sides, because since customers.
And when I was talking with Todd preparing for this session too, he talked about how he's taking a lot of time, for instance, talking about his agile development strategies and going to the other departments and explaining to them why he's doing it and how he's doing it, and helping them understand the methods, and that kind of cross-sharing of different departmental efforts has been core to the success.
Yeah, absolutely, and I mean, and they also the key part also to in communicating, and also being very smart where also as well to communicate, because and that's another of the caveats or watches, because a lot of times when get data get exciting is is to dump in also a lot of data as well into and get people kind of overwhelmed. So I mean, it's as the famous saying, less is more, and it would take a bit more time to say, okay, what I really want to show, what is really the more relevant data, and to distill that into simple and more like dashboards that you could get as well, even a broader audience as well engaged. And then for sure you will always be able to double click and get into much more details, but being very precise into what you want to communicate and what to communicate to which audience, from the most senior to a specific teams.
And Dario, how
Great, thank you.
Any questions for you, or are we wrapping up?
Yeah, probably wrapping up. And my iPad just crashed right now, so I can't see. Apologies, we just sent questions online. But thanks, thank you. So
yeah,
I think
appreciate it.
That's
Thank you, everybody.
fantastic to have Skechers.
My pleasure.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you as well.